You know, it's awkward. Jeffrey never set the intro in the needed channel. This guy.
You
I can't
trusted
believe
that
it.
he just would do that?
I did.
Man, who made that intro?
You know, Dad, he's great.
That's
great.
awesome.
But he's definitely going to get fined for that. Oh, no,
payroll.
No, it was me. It was in the Andor brand.
Dude, that's embarrassing.
All right. Well, today's my last podcast as I get fired from my own show. Apologies, Dad. That was me. The slander, I take it back. Bad job on me. But yes, welcome to Show Boys. We're here live streaming again, like we will be for the next 6 weeks. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
We have 2 more.
6 more weeks after this.
Yeah, two more episodes of season 1, and then we'll have 4 episodes covering season 2 of Andor. Peak Star Wars, in my humble opinion. Maybe the greatest show, live action show, Star Wars. But yeah, we will be covering episodes 4, 5, and 6. So we are calling this Chapter 2, The Cost of Rebellion. Before we get into it, though, thank you to our patrons, Tim B, S1CH2, Josie, and all of our other patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your support. If you would love to learn how you could support the show or have no idea what Patreon is and want to know more about Patreon, head to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. You can sign up today, and you get access to exclusive monthly content, early access to episodes, which will not really apply to this season because our episodes are being live streamed. But for our normal pre-recorded stuff, you'll get it significantly early in most cases. Right now, we're going through Jedi Survivor for our Patreon exclusive episodes. Nick, you
can purchase the Jedi Survivor episodes a la carte on Patreon for the lowest price they let me set. So you're welcome. Still wasn't cheap enough for me, but Patreon was like, nope, can't go lower than this. I'm like, that's an odd number you picked, Patreon. But
right.
Whatever.
Or you could just sign up and you'll get access to our entire backlog of Patreon content, which is several years worth of monthly episodes. But yeah, we just recorded the second episode of the Jedi Survivor playthrough. It's been a lot of fun. I know we've both been tackling the third portion of Jedi Survivor and having fun with it. While I don't know about you, but I've been weaving in a little bit of Survivor play, and then I'll go watch an episode of Andor.
You are an hour of gameplay ahead of me, and the past 3 nights I've done an hour of Survivor and then watch an episode of Andor, and I did that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's Thursday. So
yeah, it's a little mirror, the northern portion of Showboys and the southern portion of Showboys just mirroring each other.
US North, US South.
It's been a lot of fun. We're having fun playing the game, having fun talking about it, and it just fits right perfectly alongside what we're talking about now.
Perfect.
But yeah, the cost of rebellion. How you feeling after watching Chapter 2 of Andor Season 1?
I might have a slight affinity for Chapter 1. There's just something super awesome about that Episode 3.
Yeah,
I feel like we feel that same way about Arcane when we talk about Arcane. The first arc,
Season 1, Episode 3, maybe greatest episode of Arcane ever.
Yeah. And for Andor, I mean, to be determined. But so far, I have a slight more affinity for that one. But that's not to say that this one isn't also awesome. Because there's a lot of.
Are you talking about Episode 6, or just this chapter as a whole?
Episode 6, because I was thinking about that. as I watched episode 6 last night, and I guess I forget. Obviously, I remember all the high points and the main bullet points of the show. But
Yeah.
still, being like 2 years since I've watched it, like still a lot of the structure and details, kind of are still new to me. And maybe that's just also me. I like to wipe stuff from my brain. It's just like
Yeah.
brand new.
Clear the cache.
Clear the cache, and like it's all new again. But I guess I was surprised at like how much like in each of these 3 episode arcs, the first 2 episodes are a lot of setup, and unless you know what you're getting as a prize at the end, I do see what Chad experienced, where it's like this is just boring and like dry.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy it, and especially the highlights of this arc. I think that's the thing is like the first arc was like heavy on Andor, like the character Cassian, and like his meeting with Luthen, and like that was obviously the high point of that arc, and that's how it ended, and that's very important for this entire story, obviously. But this arc spends a little bit more time kind of branching out, right? We get to meet Mama and see more
Yep.
of her. We get to see Luthen on Coruscant, who has a completely different identity.
Yep.
We're just lightly keeping tabs on Skrill. What's his name? Or
Cyril.
Cyril. We're lightly keeping tabs on him as he moves back in with his mother. That's really the synopsis
The
of this
literal
entire
worst.
episode arc. Like he just moves back in with mom. That's literally all that happens with him.
Yeah.
That I forgot. I knew that happened, but I did not realize that's all that happened in these 3 episodes. So let's just get that out of the way. Cyril just moves back in with his mom, and his mom tries to find him a job because she thinks
With
he's
their uncle.
complete disappointment to the whole entire family. But also we get kind of counter to the Mon Mothma and Luthen stuff. We get the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau activity, and we get a lot more detail there. So they spend more time kind of setting up, obviously, the rest of the season, branching out into things. So I think it was cool how they did. Obviously, this is a show about Andor. Here's 3 episodes about Cassian. Now we're going to kind of start really branching out into things. And I just think, I think that downplays a little bit like the impact of this arc. Obviously, the heist is awesome, but it's just not as awesome as episode 3 for me. I mean, what about you?
Yeah, no, I do think episode 3 is really great. Yo, thanks Bio for the cheer over on Twitch. Appreciate you stopping by, hanging out, chilling with us.
Man. I miss
yeah.
you, Bio.
Episode 6 though, I think it's like right up there with episode 3.
Sure, yeah.
And the little chapter titles that we're using, I think I do think that this 3-episode arc really does show the cost of this rebellion that's starting, and you see that especially play out in episode 6, right towards the end, where basically half of the crew, spoiler alert, ends up dead. So that's like a big cost, obviously, but we see the cost of the rebellion on cereal, right? Cereal, Frosted Flakes, or like weird green Cocoa Puffs, whatever he's eating over there with the blue milk.
I love that Cyril's eating cereal. So like, did they do that on purpose? Did they?
Yeah, I love it. But like you can see the cost for him. You can see not really the cost of the rebellion on Mon Mothma, but kind of, yes. Like, you aren't really, we aren't made privy really to like how involved she is, other than like she's funding some of it because of that conversation with Luthen in the shop, right?
At this point, they really frame Mon Mothma in terms of like why she starts to fund the rebellion, or leans more into it by
the whole cost thing like doesn't quite apply to Mon yet, but in a way kind of does, just with the like tension with her husband and her family.
Who you already hate.
Right. Giant turds. And then you see the cost on Luthen himself, just like on his like mental state, right? The anxiety and kind of like panic, and we see a little bit of doubt before the heist pulls off, and then we see like the elation when he hears the news, where the patron in his shop is like, "Oh, do you have anything, any Aldhani? You know, there was a rebellion attack," and he is like, first like very nervous and scared, like, yeah, my about, did they find out that I'm involved in that? But then he goes in the back and he's like all excited and happy. But you kind of like see that play across in episode 6, which I think is really good, and episodes 4 and 5, of course, like build up to that point. But yeah, I think much like chapter 1, like episodes 4 and 5 are very much like the building blocks to episode 6, just like 1 and 2 were the building blocks to 3, where it's just a lot of setting things up and getting all the payoff in 6, you know?
Yeah, and unless there's specific like conversations or scenes you like in the the 2 building block episodes, like you can really, as a rewatch, just watch 3, 6. Right, we'll probably say that for 9 if you want to like speed watch the show. But Luthen, and talking about his both the performance and his reaction, right, and to the news and like just throughout the episodes, he has this sense where it's like his anxiety, I feel like, comes from a place of he obviously really wants this to work. And honestly, I don't think he's down and out in terms of like a life if it doesn't come off, because he's shielded himself well. Obviously, there's always a chance it comes back to him, and he mentions that. Um, but I just really feel like, not that he's suicidal, but if this doesn't work, right? If he can't get this thing to take off, like he's going to be really depressed about the state of everything. Like the reason he's doing this is to like liberate and like fix what's wrong with the galaxy, and that's the Empire. And there's this desperation where he wants this to work, really, because like he wants to see this thing take off. It's almost like starting your own company, and it's like if I don't make it now, like
he's all in.
It's not, nothing's worth it. So there's an interesting sense of like desperation there, because it's not like his life's necessarily on the line. He's put it on the line, but he's not directly at harm.
Right.
I feel like personally he feels like it's all over if like this thing doesn't work out.
Yeah. And you see like a cool what's the word for it? Like the flip side of that. Well, not really, but kind of, like in Cassian's conversation with
Scheme?
No, the young kid. I always forget his name. Who's like writing the manifesto, right? Like he's a lot of ideals, and very much like you could say like a young version of Luthen. Nemik, that's it.
Nemik,
yep, Nemik. Where he is, basically young Luthen talking with Cassian about this, the oppression that the Empire is bringing, and like how, freedom is worth fighting for. And Cassian's just like, dude, it's too big. Like, what are the 5-6 of us going to do that is even going to make them care? They're not going to care about what we do. Like, it's not even going to make a dent. So like you have Luthen and Nemik on one side being like, this is my everything. Like, this is why I wake up in the morning. Like my sole purpose in life is to execute this rebellion, right? Because it's going to do something. And then you have Cassian, the nihilist over here, is just like, dude, it doesn't even matter. I'm like, they're not going to notice, and I'm just here to get some credits. Like,
yeah. And now, especially episode 6, especially as we come to like the very end of episode 6, that we can talk about later. I don't really want to talk about that yet, but like just throughout this episode, we get more of like Cassian is just such a good character. And I hate, I don't know why I keep drawing him back to like Han. But even the idea that Cassian is like, there's a moment in this episode, multiple moments in this episode, where the point is Cassian is the good guy, even though he's motivated by not necessarily the right things. Like, obviously he wants money, he just wants to like be out for himself, but at the end of the day, the choices he makes make him a good guy, whether he wants to be or not. And
The
whether that's like,
reluctant hero.
right, whether that's the thrill of like the moment, like definitely he likes getting out of a tight situation. Like he loves being backed into a corner and just like sticking it to whoever's trying to stick it to him.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't follow that up with like any sort of like, he becomes a hero in those moments, even though he pretends not to be all the rest of the time. So it's just, I don't think he's intended to be a Han Solo like character, but like there's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah, I mean they're both selfish, right? Their focus and motive is just personal gain, right? And then they become the reluctant hero who like can't not do the right thing, right?
Can't back down for a fight in those selfish moments because they like the fight. They like the struggle.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like they do like believe in what's right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's a good parallel I think you're drawing there. And I can see it. And I never, until you kind of brought it up last week, and had never really made the connection, but I think it tracks.
Yeah.
Solid. But yeah, so let's do our recap, because we had 3 episodes, and while the first 2 were building blocks, I mean, they still are important to understand the growth of Cassian and his relationship with this group of rebels. So yeah, where do you want to start? You want to kick us off here with episode 4, Aldhani?
Yeah, and in this one, I forget the exact opening scene, but like the big premise on the beginning of this is kind of like the continuation of Cassian and Luthen, right, in the ship and on the Fondor. And it's Luthen basically convincing Cassian, like, hey, you've kind of already signed up for whatever I'm about to have you go do, because otherwise, why would you be here? He's kind of playing the whole fate destiny hand, and it's like, you know, you're kind of already made the decision. And Cassian's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Like, I am literally just going with the flow. And Luthen's like, the flow is what I'm about to tell you. Like, I am the flow, my man. You've met Sensei Luthen.
Yes.
I get you think it's all just random, but like you're now caught in my flow. And
he
just the way
tells
Cassian like reacts to him is just amazing.
And it's funny because he tells Cassian exactly what we were talking about last week, where it's like, I didn't come for the star path, like I came for you.
You the man.
And now I have you.
It was always you. Yes, I have you now. Yeah, but then we also get a lot of more angles of Luthen and like how he operates, right? Because we like right out the gate, this entire like front-loaded sequence is Luthen speaking. It's funny because he reveals 2 sides of himself to Luthen, where it's like, hi, I'm Luthen, I just kind of rescued you from Ferrix, right? And I have these intentions for you, but also here's this Luthen that's working with this group of people that I'm about to stick you with. Don't tell them that I'm paying you. Take this, take this Kyber crystal as like a down payment. That feels strategic. And already like he reveals himself to Andor that like he's not completely honest or on the up and up with everyone all the time. He's even being a little double-sided to Andor strategically and on purpose. And he kind of think he kind of knows Andor takes off of that as well. But then turn around, he like, he meets this Vel, I think, her name's Vel, outside the ship, but he's already like, you stay in here. So like already he's showing to Cassian that like everything I told you is probably not what I'm gonna tell her, and I need, you know, I'm trying to keep a barrier here. And then obviously we get the Vel side of the conversation, and like he's already like triple like sided this up where he's even like double speaking her. And it's just like this really weird myriad of lies and truths like all mixed together. Even with these three people.
Luthen is very much an onion with many layers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's just got to do what he's got to do to get everyone on board, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he basically tells Cassian, you know, hey, 200,000 credits, man. Just do this job. 200K. Let's go. And like you said, I love when he gives him the crystal. He's like, now, if you do sell this, like, don't take any less than this. But I want that back. So please give it back. I like that. And, you know, a little foreshadowing ends up coming back, causing some problems.
There's a fun like detail that just shows the care that they put into this show because it's very real. Because later when Scheme rips it off his neck, and what he says, he's like a 30,000 credit, like, you know, treasure, right? Who brings a treasure to a robbery.
Yeah.
And it's just very realistic that more of like an informed and like savvy dealer of, you know, wares like that would know what the top dollar price is and could get a top dollar price for it is. But someone like Scheme, who's a little bit more on the scoundrel side, that's really just like scraping the bottom of the barrel on things, like he would literally just go get a quick 30 out of that and be completely okay with it, right? So I just like that the thing just reuse the same value. Like, of course, Scheme's gonna like consider it of a little bit lower value because that's what he would get for it from the first person he ran into at, you know, at the cantina.
But yeah, so Cassian accepts and adopts his new alias after his adopted father, Clem. Wow, that was great timing. As soon as he said Clem, we got Avatar Nick. So they arrive on Aldhani. He meets Vel, and then they make the hike to the camp. And basically, Vel's little crew here have been. How long have they been there? For like 6 months or something?
Yeah, 6 or 7 months. Hunkered down.
Just like scheming some real Ocean's 11 stuff, like.
Ocean's 11 didn't even spend that much time, I feel like. Like, and also they're in Vegas. They're not. These people are like in the mountain, like foothills, like they're in like
making models out of twig and moss.
Yeah, but at the same time, just like taking care of goats or whatever. And
yeah,
sheep,
dude.
Just being herders. Like they're just living the life.
I love it. But yeah, Cassian gets introduced to the crew. They're all reluctant, right? And we slowly meet them in a more like official and in-depth capacity between.
He gets a little one-on-one time with each of them.
Yeah,
which is nice.
And we'll kind of like go through it, but the crew as a whole, we have Skeen, who is the tall guy that likes to walk around without a shirt.
From the bear,
as you messaged me on Discord the other night. Nemec, the young lad who's a really good actor. He was in
a war movie.
Yeah, Dunkirk, was it?
Yeah.
Like that. But he was also in this Netflix show. Oh man, I wish I could remember it. It's got a kind of long name, but he was really good in that, and he's also really good in Andor. So
it's kind of like the techie, like aspirational.
Yeah, but like his tech stuff is like low tech, like can survive off the grid, right?
Yeah, he's kind of like a hipster, like a Star Wars like tech hipster, where he's like, "Man, this right here, this thing will work anywhere. It's not Empire. Like we've become too reliant on the Empire. Like he's just very like,
he's a
idealist,
a homesteader. That's what he reminds me of. Like, yeah, man, dude, this rain barrel just catches the water, and this right here is like a natural filter, and but yeah, so he is the young idealist. We find out that he's like writing a manifesto about the inspiration and reasons for rebellion, and which was really cool to like hear him talk about. What do you think about his thoughts on the whole?
Yeah, I mean, I love that he's doing that. I like to think I would have the time to do that in that situation. I at least would be like verbally preaching that to my colleagues in that situation, where I would at least try to be the philosopher in those moments. But my favorite moment was in light that Cassian is there for the money in episode 6, I believe. He spends the night and instead like reflects on like what that means, right? Like here they are in this situation. He spent a lot of time like philosophizing about that situation, then insert someone that doesn't quite fit like his previous model of what's going on. But he's not going to reject Cassian. Like he understands that, well, no, this is something. This means something. I like that he spent the time to try to like augment what a mercenary at the time, kind of what he categorizes Andor as.
Yeah, just like a tool. All weapons are tools and all.
But I like how in that moment he tried to like write off Cassian as just like this mercenary that just, I forget what the exact word was, where like where he's happy, or I forget what it was.
Scared?
No, because like Cassian's like, do I look
yeah, this is great podcasting. I know exactly what you're talking about, but we're both just like, we'll get it.
But anyways, but he basically tries to like he tries to simplify Cassian, and Cassian's like, just through his actions and his response, like it's not that simple, kid. And he constantly like adds these new facets to this kid's understanding of what's going on. So I just really enjoy that he took the time to factor in Cassian, where other people were just like mad at him. I think he's still mad at him, but he tries to understand, what does that mean? What's the role of these people who are just in it for the money, but obviously they're helping us.
Right.
The mercenaries that choose the side with us versus the mercenaries that choose the side for the Empire. It's like, there's something going on there.
Yeah, and I think maybe the best way to approach our episode here, since like all 3 episodes kind of blend together very much, we can just talk about like the groups of characters, right, between the whole arch. And we can save like episode 6 for episode 6 because a lot happens there. But like we learned that I didn't even finish going through the entire crew here. So of course Nemec, then we have Taruman, who is the former stormtrooper, we learn, right? Who's kind of like training Skeen, Nemec, and now Cassian on the troopers' ways, the ways they march, the way they fall in order, the way the squad leader communicates, because they are going to be like this escort squad during the heist. So Cinta, who is kind of, we're introduced to her as almost like the caretaker of the group, but she also has like a very important role, but like she kind of is the medic. She's taking care of them. She's close with Vel.
Yeah, because obviously like Vel's in charge, and then Cinta is very much like the assistant, not the assistant, that's a bad term, but like the person that's like logistically making sure everything
Mhm.
that is supposed to happen is going to happen and happen well, because skiing is really kind of the muscle. And even I would say Tamarin, he's very much muscle logistics, knows
Mhm.
the Empire and how to be a stormtrooper. Obviously, we got Techie out of Nemec, so like she's very much like the logistics person of making sure, like, do we have all the gear? Is the gear organized? Is it clean? Like, I just feel like she kind of makes the whole camp tick. She's kind of the enforcer for Vel too, because like she's the one that's like, well, not happy about this Clem guy being here, but we need to patch him up, get him working, study this. So she plays a very important role, but very quiet role.
Yes. I'm trying to find the name of the actual like Empire lieutenant.
Gorn.
That's it. So we find out later he comes to the camp, and he is the man.
She says 7 now, but there's only 6 with Clem at the camp, and then he shows up, and it's like,
Yeah, the man on the inside who has been here on Aldhani for a while. I forget. Do you remember his story? Like what made him turn?
Yeah. So he fell in love with a local Aldhani gal.
That's it. That's what's gonna get you.
Yep. I think he's been there legit for many, many years. Like he might be, I think like 7 years or something like that. So he had been there for many years. He'd fell in love with an Aldhani girl. Obviously, he's really, and I forget, she died. For I think she's not in the picture anymore. That's also upsetting for her. But we also have this arc here where we have this like temple thing where all the local Aldhani, they come and like watch this awesome celestial event, but the Empire is like, yeah, now we want to build a dam here and put our money vault here. We actually have plans to move the air base here, and we're just gonna wipe this all out anyways. So he's just generally just and we see this in other places in Star Wars these days, and it's kind of like these people that they sign on to the Empire, but it just doesn't resonate with them as they're in it, because like you kind of have the people that sit by and they're kind of happy with the little dog and pony show matrix that the Empire puts up, but there's the other ones that are just like, yeah, this ain't right, and they defect. And this one's cool because kind of like Finn, I don't know, Gorn's interesting because like I think it's one of the few times we see like an active and detailed defector from the Empire. Because like in Rogue One, the pilot, he just like defects when we don't really see him working in the Empire. Whereas like this is one of the rare times we see like an active like lieutenant like undermining the Empire, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I love the actor. Like, I just love him in this little arc here. His name's Sul Remy. He was also in Foundation, which if anyone's watched Foundation, he's in there. But yeah, dude, such a cool character, and like having the actual inside man, like still inside, was really cool, and just made the heist like, so much better on another level. But basically the crew's been there for, like 6-7 months, like we said. They're scheming, they're like constantly taking trips out to the garrison to like, correctly get the layout, the foundation of the valley of the garrison itself, so they can just execute this plan without a hitch, which the plan is to sneak in / be let into the garrison from Lieutenant Gorn during the Aldhani Festival of the Eye, which how often did they say it happened? 3 years?
Every 3 years. Yep.
Which, dude, visually when it happens in episode 6 is so cool. Like if that actually happened in real life, I think I would probably pee my pants every time, because it's like the coolest looking thing ever.
Yeah, an interesting thing there that they kind of carry through is like there's the undertones where Gorn's like working with his troops there at the station, and
Mhm.
they're kind of peeved about like working shifts and like they want to watch it, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like the highlight of the rotation that the one general or whatever said that like, yeah, it's like there's not much to see on Aldhani, but if you're gonna be here, at least try to catch this awesome thing
Yeah.
that happens. So um there's that kind of like little thing in the background where they're all the soldiers kind of like want to watch this
Yeah.
too.
Especially like at where this garrison is, it's literally a dam in
Yeah,
the middle of absolutely nowhere.
absolutely nowhere.
Like it's just hills and grass.
Yeah, and like they go on patrol, but they're just like walking around a lake that the
Yeah,
dam made.
exactly.
It's like there's just nothing to see. And they've scared everyone away from it too.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like, TIE pilots are so like menacing and badass. And like when
Mhm.
they're getting in the TIE fighters to chase them down, I was
Yeah.
like, think about that. Like you talk about like a war story. Obviously none of them make it because TIE pilots never make it.
Yeah, come on.
But like, they're they have a job to do, but like at the same time they're flying through this really awesome like
Yeah.
thing that's happening. It's like that's just like rowdy.
Yeah, so their plan is to pull off this heist during the Eye Festival cosmic event,
Yep.
and the heist is to break into the garrison where at least some large portion of the Empire's funds are being stored, like millions and millions of credits, like rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of credits in this vault. Load them up on a like transport ship that's in the garrison, basically the Star Wars equivalent of a Brinks truck.
Yeah.
And
That's fine. I
use
didn't even think about that. It is like a freight truck.
and basically use the Eye event, which is pretty much just like a really colorful meteor shower.
It's interesting how they explained it because the planet passes through a belt of
Mhm.
basically like space, not dust, but like debris, and
Yeah.
when it vaporizes in the atmosphere, it creates a sense that like there are things shooting across the sky, but it's really the planet moving through it.
Yeah.
It's a really intense but everything mostly burns up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It just looks badass. It's almost like
Unless you fly into it, then
yeah, it's
then it's
almost like
basically like
a bunch of
just
pop rocks, just like
yeah. Yeah, but dude, it looks so cool and the colors are amazing.
yeah.
But they plan on using this as their cover as they flee. And so the timing of the heist needs to be very precise because, this only happens once every 3 years and it doesn't last days long. It's a, significantly short event. So they're training, scheming, and yeah, we'll save the actual heist for episode 6. But on the other side, why don't you take us through, the ISB and kind of what's going on with the Empire here, because we actually see the long hand of the law of the Empire in this episode, whereas Primor, not technically the Empire, but kind of like a contractor of the Empire. So this is our first like actual taste of the Empire here.
Yeah, and I alluded to this in our last episode. Basically, like Primor is this like subcontracted enforcement for these remote star systems. But our opening scene with this group is Cyril, getting his like boss and like the bruiser that encouraged him to do all of it, like just getting grilled by the ISB officer, like
Linus, not Linus.
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, Linus. Just getting grilled, like this is kind of over. Like this isn't your job no more. You guys really messed up. And I like how the boss was just like, I didn't have anything to do with this, and he was like, exactly. That's the problem. That's one of the problems here. Case in point. So this just shows like how the Empire like kind of steps in, starts to kind of take control of these situations, especially when they escalate out of like the norm, and this was not a good situation. When you have probably like 8 dead, a very expensive and like not top secret, but very valuable piece of Imperial equipment found
Yeah.
at the scene of the crime. So it just raised a lot of eyebrows, and we see them kind of setting up shop on Ferrix. They commandeer the hotel as their headquarters, and
Yeah.
we see them marching around Ferrix. And this is all kind of shadowing what's going to be coming in later episodes. But they're setting up shop on Ferrix, and they're taking over for Primor here.
Yeah. What
But we
what like what arm of government or law enforcement would you compare ISB to in real life?
ISB, I would say probably the FBI. Yeah, I would probably say the FBI, even though all the way up at the top they're kind of CIA-ish. I think all the way up basically I think they're the FBI. But with
Yeah.
some like CIA-esque thing happening like all the way at the top because they touch like the super secret projects that are going on, like the main boss man. What's his name? Daedra is always working with.
The
He's
old
awesome.
guy?
Yeah, he's awesome. I love
Dude,
his.
yeah, that dude does not mess around.
No, he does not. But
I'll find his name while you're talking.
Yeah, find his name.
Blevin? Is it Blevin, or is that the other her like rival ISB person?
I'm not sure.
They
always address each other like in their formal like.
Major Partagas?
Partagas?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Partagas. Yeah, it's in my notes here. I wasn't sure. So we meet Daedra, who's pretty slick. I like Daedra a lot. She is kind of like a young, up and coming ISB officer, and we kind of get a feel for her position because he knows that like you're new here. One reason we brought you on is because like you're an executor. Like you take things in a very orderly fashion. You're organized, detailed. We want more of you here. So clearly, I think to me that kind of like had a sense of like we hire too many like college graduates, and we need more like people from the field that can like do a different facet of this job that we expect to happen. Her main competitor who has jurisdiction over Ferrix, he has like 6 systems that he manages where she has 2. So she's trying to make her name for herself. But the main thing here is that, they have this meeting in a very cool ISB roundtable that they have in their very cool ISB building here in Coruscant.
Very white.
Very white. Everything's white in the ISB, except for the assistants. They wear dark gray.
Oh, yes. And like the way their pants
I don't think I looked at their pants.
I just remember a few scenes with Deidre's assistant specifically, like from his hip to his knee, like the thigh area.
Yeah.
Like look like jester pants, like they poof out, and then like from the knee down are
Oh.
basically like skin tight. I was like,
I know what you mean.
That looks hilarious. I don't know how to describe that, but side note about the actress who plays Deidre, she voices Yennefer in The Witcher 3.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah, she's great.
So yeah.
But her ears perk up in this meeting because her counterpart, who is kind of doing the brief on the Ferrix incident,
which I think that is who Blevin is.
Blevin. Her ears perk up and she starts going through her notes on her little data pad, and her ears perked up to the fact that the Star Link thing was found. Because in her notes they had one of those go missing recently. And this kind of ties into like her digging in there. She kind of tells Partagaz, like, I think there's something going on here. And this is like her whole arc. And this is like, she's trying to press to like figure this out more.
Yeah.
And like she tells her, and I love the conversation. It was like late. and they're trying to figure it out with her and her assistant. Yeah. And he was like, it's too random to be random. And I'm like, that is such a cool like thing. And like, that's kind of how you find actual like problems. Like what most people just write off as like random, like doesn't matter. It's like, come on now. Like, she's like, that's exactly how I would do it.
Exactly. Yeah. She's like full court pressing. And because she sees these very specific incidents of like important thefts or sabotage that are, you know, more than just your like anti-establishment run homemade four-wheelers into the side of Tesla type rebellions, but like actually stealing important things or like funds or whatever. But they're like so far apart, like literally distance wise. But she's like, something has to be going on here because like I don't know if it was her or her assistant that said it, but you're right. The whole "it's too random to be random" line was so cool and so
he
true.
said it to her to like reinforce, because he's like, you are doing the right thing. Like you are onto something here. It's like he was just reinforcing like what she already knew. But she was obviously trying to do her job, and like she's like, well, it's not like we don't have the evidence. But also, I don't know why in a galaxy full of light speed that distance is really a big factor. Like they can obviously hop around the galaxy fairly well, but I do get it. But I think like her point is, sure, like little rebel cells and stuff are spread out and they're unrelated, but when they start plucking off very specific equipment, like they're not all gonna uniformly be like, you know, that would be a very handy thing to have. You know, unless there's like a Facebook page that just like, but then again, that's like evidence of conspiracy. So and she's like, onto something here.
Yeah, but then you have the whole like corporate ladder climb blocking going on, right, with Blevin, who
Blevin's like, just doing his like the motions. Like,
no, this is like this is my thing. Like you're overstepping. Like you just stay in your lane. This is my lane.
Well, I mean,
it's always so annoying.
Yeah, and Blevin has like a point because like he just sees it as, you know, in his little silo scope of like this was a thing that went too far. We have a, you know, a hired security group that just really messed this up. So like we're gonna go in and put our foot down. And Imperials love putting their foot down and like showing force. So like that's what he was doing. Like he just likes the idea of like, yeah, we're gonna roll up on Ferrix, put our foot down, set up shop, and just like dominate. But like she's just like, she has no interest in that. She's more like, I think there's like a galaxy-wide conspiracy to topple the Empire. I don't know who I need to shoot this memo to, but
Blevin's like,
okay, girl,
whatever you think.
And again, that goes back to the conversations between Luthen and Cassian in episode 3, where it's like they're too like self important. They're too full of themselves.
Too fat.
Yeah, they're too fat, and then we get a little bit more of that too, where you know he tells you know the young rebel there, Cassian's like, they don't care about you, and like your manifesto, like they don't care to even learn that, like they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that whole interaction was so good, which is right before, you know, they're sitting around the campfire before doing the moving and executing the plan.
The deed.
Yeah, he's just like, they won't learn anything from this because they don't care. Like they're too big to care. But so
I mean, ultimately, like Daedra, like she does make a little bit of headway with the Major, and he's like, I get what you're doing. Keep doing your, you know, what you're supposed to be doing, but gather more evidence, and I look forward to a proper report on it. So like he's got a big thing to run, and that kind of stuff don't look good on his watch either. So and you know that happens toward the end with this little group, is after the heist, like he's like, we're all meeting, no one's leaving here period. Tell your families, like,
Yeah.
He's like, this is no bueno. This is not good.
Yeah, maybe I should have listened to Dedra.
Dedra.
And then the last kind of little group of characters before getting into the actual heist and the results of it, the cost of rebellion, we have Luthen and Mon Mothma.
So good.
So you are a big Mon stan.
Oh, huge Mon stan.
Let's hear it. Why?
She's great, man. Like, she's just like top coat, like politician. But she's just again, another great situation here where we're exploring like multifaceted characters. She's a politician, right? True and true. But and she's still going through the politician motions. But like Luthen, she's trying to do this other thing because she's like, if I can't do this other thing, this thing ain't gonna work either, because I'm showing up at Senate hearings and all the seats are empty. Nobody's here. Nobody cares.
The ones that are clearly not paying attention.
Yeah. So like they do a good job like showing like why she's motivated to do this. But they also kind of already position her to where she's like, she knows she's being watched. Her driver's changed. Her and Luthen are very careful about all that. Like her family doesn't know. And that's important that they set it up that way too, because technically she's been scheming like this since episode 3. And we talk about like Revenge of the Sith episode 3, because there's deleted scenes where she's part of the senator group that meets about like the Palpatine, where they're like, this dude's got to go.
So this has been a concern since we keep referring to episode 6, and then you just referred to episode 3, but like the movie episode 3. I'm like, hopefully neither of us or listeners like thinking we're talking about the movie episode 6.
No.
But we learned that she's basically been like embezzling funds to give to Luthen.
It's my girl.
She says something like the accounts are, being scrutinized a little more than usual. Yep. So adding to what you're saying, that layer of like, she knows that, that kind of
she's
has
definitely
their eyes on her.
Yeah. And there's a lot of history there though, too, because, the Republic is all but like 5 years ago. And, she was a colleague with Palpatine. Palpatine worked with all these senators, right? So it's like, imagine being a senator for like most of your life, and they just happen to be one of the senators that you've been a colleague with became like Emperor of the Galaxy. Like there's history there. Like he knows these people. So it's very easy to imagine that across like Palpatine desk, he's like, oh yeah, Mon Mothma, keep her on watch, man. Like she ain't trustworthy. She's definitely like anti-Empire. So yeah, she didn't even like me having executive orders or emergency powers. So no, she just carries herself well. She's good at playing that like very proper, but trying to get some things done under the table. I love the setup with Luthen. He's got this like trinket shop where he sells like artifacts from around the galaxy. Really good cover.
Because it'll explain his long absences while he's out there.
Go and get new items, and rich politicians would stop by to get fancy items for their offices. It's perfect. But yeah, I think she's just well acted, and it's not that she's portrayed all the modern like post 2000 versions of Mon Mothma, and she's really been able to embody that. Otherwise, Mon Mothma was just in like I'll say Return of the Jedi, that episode 6, by a different actor. But her scenes like Luthen, they get a lot done just by talking. Just their monologues that they give are just
Yeah.
and like our young what's the young rebel?
Nemec.
Yeah, like our young Nemec. She's also very like a politician would be, philosophical about the
Yeah.
whole state of the galaxy.
She actually cares.
She actually cares. And you see that with her dirtbag family too, where she's like trying to be like, can we mildly care about like the state of things? And her daughter's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, life sucks. I'm a teenager.
Right.
Who
Oh,
cares?
angsty.
And then it's interesting. I
The
forget.
dinner party, and she like sees who's sitting where, and she's like, I can't sit by these people. Like,
Yeah.
we disagree on everything. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here in silence all night?
Yeah, I guess I forget his exact like why he does these things. Like, is he another
Because he
politician?
hates her.
Right. Yeah. like why is he just this little thorn in her side where she's, like he set up these dinner parties where she's like,
I don't know.
those people try to undo everything I do all the time.
I feel like I have no recollection of what he does, like his job, if he has one or anything. But like, I get a very like stay-at-home dad vibe from him, and then he's just always pissed at Mon because she's always working.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, if you were here, you would know. Blah blah blah.
Even her daughter,
I think
that business, like pretend like you're involved.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Sorry, I'm
your
out here
mom's trying to save the galaxy.
Yeah.
You're being a little bee right now.
Yep. But yeah, so that's God, I hate him so much. He's such a jerk. But yeah, that's kind of the small little limited Mon and Luthen we get in this little arc.
Those two take off and as the season goes on, but this arc is just a nice setup for those two.
Yeah, I love Luthen's like grandmother disguise. He just looks like this 65-year-old grandmother running this artifact shop.
The little like turn and like hand thing he does in his ship when he like gets into the zone for it's just and then he just walks normally out of there back to the cockpit. It's like, okay, yeah, I got it still.
Yeah, exactly. Just had double check.
Said double check, get my purple cloak on.
Yeah. So let's talk about the heist, the execution of the heist. So the time comes, everyone's kind of panicking a little bit, but essentially what's going to happen, Tamarin, Skeen, Nemec, and Cassian are going to be, they're all disguised as Aldhani natives to start out. Yes. Right? They got the
badass
sweet
ponchos.
Yeah, with the cool like winter hats with the flaps, like looking awesome. By the way, the poncho that Cassian is wearing behind you, Nick, that needs to be turned into a hoodie, like that exact design.
It has
I would wear it every day.
Yeah.
Like
in
it
Florida?
Is so sick. Yeah, I wear hoodies all the time.
Oh, I guess it could be like a rain like hoodie poncho, like a little waterproof on it.
But like it, I mean,
just be out there in the monsoon.
Even though I do live in the swamp, my house does have air conditioning and it does get chilly. So I do wear hoodies all the time. Still.
So rough.
So
cold.
But so they're disguised as the Aldhani natives, but underneath they're
punky,
decked out in Aldhani guard clothes. So they're going to be the escort of the Aldhani natives to the altar site out front of the garrison where the Eye of Aldhani ceremony is going to take place.
And their move here is that they are a squad from a different Imperial place on the planet.
Same planet. I forget. Do you remember exactly where they say it a couple times? I don't think it's really that important, but
no.
Yeah.
Where the air base is.
Gorn says now, if they ask if you're from the garrison, you say you're from this. If they ask if you're from this, you say you're from the it's like, just get your story straight. Like, so the plan is they'll escort the natives to the altar site, and then Gorn is going to use their squad, as the escort of the commandant back to the garrison after he meets with the native leader, etc. And then once they get in, they'll make their way down to the vault, load up the credits on the Brinks truck as fast as possible, and then scoot out using, the celestial event as cover. Meanwhile, Vel and what's her name?
Cinta.
Yes. Vel and Cinta will sneak in, do some like crazy Mission Impossible like wall scaling.
Well, in those conversations though, throughout, like, we're not given all these details. Like, we get the main gist of the heist, but even Cassian's like, "What about you two?"
Yeah,
and they're like, "Yeah, don't worry about it."
Yeah,
So it's kind of cool that we kind of in real time see what their whole role is. And they're camped out in this little like stone hut on the other side of the dam reservoir. And they got this sweet
peed on.
They get peed nearby. Yeah, it's not peed on. But they have this sweet
We're on
little
Star Wars. I was watching
scuba Star Wars or scuba like propulsion thing that takes them in there. And they ninja up the wall and take out some guards. It's cool.
Yeah, they go.
Cinta's a straight hitter, man.
She does not mess around.
No, and even Vel was like hesitating. She's like, you are stalling. Like, let's go.
Yeah, you need to move. But yeah, their whole goal is to go up onto the garrison and disrupt communications. They place that little device on the antenna thing so they can kind of cut communications. And then as the plan begins to unfold, everything's working. They all converge and meet inside the garrison. As they escort the commandant in, they turn on him, hold him and his family at gunpoint, hold them as hostages, basically make their way to the vault and start loading up the ship. And as this is happening, Gorn finally makes his way back into the vault area, and the commandant and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?" So that was kind of a cool little turn that we get to like witness play out in real time too. But something happens between the knocked out communications and "What's up, father?" I just saw your comment in here from 6 minutes ago. Thank you for hanging out. Don't listen to the beginning of the episode. Okay, you can just skip that part if you want. No reason why. But yeah, between the communications being knocked out and then like the old school like typewriter communication thing that Nemec set him up with, somehow the garrison comms like got locked onto their channel and could hear their communications. So some of the guards, make their way down to the vault, and then we have like a little shootout escalation thing.
Well, the comm guy, he's cool because he's just kind of like the comm nerd. Like he's always like he's on duty. He's just running the comm tower up there, and he's just like, there's something going on here. He's like, I know the personality. He's like, I don't care really what's going on like in the macro things. He's like, my comms are not working. And I'm going to figure it out. And so he's just hell bent on figure out, and he happens to tune into the frequency, I believe, that the rebels were on, and that's where he was able to be like, "Wait, what's going on in the vault? That ain't right." Get the squad, roll out, and they're like, "But the celestial thing, we're gonna miss it. The eye," and he's like, "Bro, shut up. Let's take these."
That was like
downstairs.
Word for word. I mean, that was great.
Yeah,
I don't know how you remembered all that.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so a little shootout happens. Tamarin bites the dust.
It was a good shootout though.
It was.
You could feel the weight in those blaster bolts, and like Skeen's got like he grabbed the big rifle once he got in there and lined up all those.
Of all the people though, he looked like the least coordinated shooter, if that even makes sense.
Oh, I mean, he was just blasting the big cannon, man. He was.
Yeah, it's like it looked like he didn't even know how to hold the gun.
I think he's just kind of making his way through the galaxy. He doesn't really know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's just a simple man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tamarin, rest in peace. Does Gorn bite the dust here too?
Gorn gets capped, shot in the back, I think.
Yeah, which is sad because like he was a cool character and like it was sad for all of them, but like I don't know why I connected with like Tamarin. I feel like was the most throwawayable character
thrown away
of the little rebel group. But I was really hoping Gorn would like make it out. I mean, obviously I've already seen this, so like I knew it was coming, but like I wish he would have been able to make it out and see a little further into the
rebellion. I feel like way more of them should have made it out, but
so
one of the logistics is like they're just like time boxing like how much like credits they can get in. Like that's like they could have loaded the thing, but they didn't have enough time. So that
there
kind
were
of sucks.
So many rolls of credits, dude. Like that thing was deep.
I like how we're talking about like rolls of credits, like rolls of quarters, and they're literally
that's what they look like.
Cylinders of just like stacked in this vault. By the way, you need to watch Skeleton Crew. There's rolls of credits in there.
Nice.
So I love the little vault thing and the whole setup. And this goes back to a conversation too that was really important back at base camp in episode 5, I believe, where Tamarin and Vel call in Cassian, Clem, and they're very nonchalantly like, so here's the setup. They're like, so how would you gauge the weight and like the like velocity of like taking off? And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, if you in theory were to do
say you had no idea how to do this.
Yeah,
how would you do it?
there's a freaking gauge like next to the seat and you just kind of pull it. And they're like, that's not in the manual. He's like, well, no, it's funny because the way he like explained it then was like, it's like a clutch in a car. It's like the shifter. It's like you don't need a manual to tell you to do that.
It's the equivalent of like,
or no, he said it was
have you tried like turning it off and back on? Like,
he said it was a custom job. He's like, it's fitted differently. It's like adding, a custom part to your car. He didn't say that, but like, it's just funny the way they set that up. And he's just like, you guys don't know what like you're doing.
That?
He's like, what would you do if I wasn't here? He was like, we would have figured it out. He's like, okay. And all of a sudden, like Cassian gets a little bit more of his like these people
confidence.
He kind of realizes like they don't entirely got this figured out, and y'all better start being thankful I'm here because this doesn't make sense. And then he's like, I'm flying. He's like, if it's my ass on the line, I'm flying.
Yeah. And wouldn't you know, it's exactly what happens. It is on the line, and he does fly.
Yes, sir.
But so Skeen, Nemec, Vel, and Clem make it on to the Brinks truck. What's her name again? Cinta. I gotta think. Like it reminds me of Cintas, the uniform place. Yeah. Shout out if anyone knows.
She makes a badass walk out.
Dude, she does. She is kind of up in the control tower with the commandant's family, the hostages, watching over them. And while all the chaos is like ensuing, she like just like bows out, and she's gonna meet up with the crew later at some location, right? So anyways, so the four of them, Nemec, Skeen, Clem, Vel, make it onto the Brinks truck, and in their haste of like loading it, trying to take off while getting shot at, a guard, makes his way onto the ship, and Cassian and the guard have this little like fight thing, and Nemec's just chilling in the back, like times his shot, waits a while. Maybe Cassian's probably like, why'd you wait so long? Because I was like literally getting choked out, but saves Cassian, really cool. And then they take off, and unfortunately, obviously, they didn't have the time to secure the payload, so poor Nemec gets crushed by a skiff of
Gets a
credit
stem
rolls.
just enough to use the navigator, and it's great because Cassian's like, I need to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
there's really like things exploding in the sky, and there's TIE fighters. Like,
Yeah, and they're
any
like, but
day
we
now.
gotta save him, and he's like, but like if I don't know where I'm going, we can't save anything.
A hard predicament because only Nemec knew how to use the thing to like,
Yeah.
that's a hard situation.
That's why you always got to train your replacement. That's my motto in life.
Facts.
But yeah, so he holds on long enough to give the coordinates and kind of guide Cassian in the eye and in their escape route, and the TIE fighters obviously don't make it. I mean, come on, what kind of story would be telling if the TIE fighters were like successful and didn't all blow up? And they have a little like kind of like moral dilemma.
Back on TIE fighters, granted, maybe more so, like, it seems bad for them in all the films because they're always up against like the rebels, but I think 95% of the time, like, their job's pretty like cozy because they just get to rock around and like
do their pass
like Ferraris with guns and just like blast stuff.
Yeah.
It's really only when they run into like our rebels and
when they actually have to do their job.
Yeah, then like they don't stand a chance. But I feel like for the volume of TIE fighters out there, it's probably a decent gig. It's just like, oh, sucks. He had to run into those rebels and get straight ice.
Speaking of volume, like, I love how TIE fighters just sound like somebody yelling. Just like, wow.
Like when, like the one
just like
flies over them in the
like
in the
yeah,
gorge.
exactly. There's like 5 microphones in a line, and it's just somebody sprinting and yelling as they run past the microphones. But yeah, so then after they make it through the eye and they're on their way, their escape, they kind of have this little like moral conflict of do we go to the rendezvous, or like do we go to the doctor who's like the contingency plan, because poor Nemec is like spine is severed back here.
Do I know how the TIE fighter sound is made?
I really do.
Okay. 2 main elements.
Is it somebody yelling? Please tell me it's somebody yelling.
Roar of an elephant.
Okay, close enough.
And then the sound of a car driving on wet pavement.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The whining quality that mimics the Doppler effect of fast-moving spacecraft.
Nice.
And then obviously it's heavily processed together, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, something yelled for that. It just wasn't a person. It was an elephant, so I was kind of right.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
But
poor Nemec, he got a spine crush and like probably a bunch of other things busted.
Yeah, they're like, please, doctor, please. But
again, Cassian makes a good call here. He makes the call to save Nemec.
Who was it? Skeen that was pro doctor or pro rendezvous? Do
you remember? Skeen was pro doctor. Vel is pro. We gotta stick to the mission. Well, I think it makes sense
with his grand plan that happens here.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain that a little more with Skeen's scoundrelness.
Yeah, so Skeen's like, he plays very much like the protective big brother. That's kind of his role, and he even has the story that he has a brother who died.
He did.
He did have a brother, and he died, and like that's part of his whole motivation of like, damn the Empire. But we find out that was a lie. So he starts, and this is his last moment of like the protective big brother of the crew, where he's like, oh, we got to save Nemec. Like, let's go to the dock. And Vel's like, we really should stick to the mission. And then Cassian, being the reluctant hero, is like, we got to save the kid. Got to try. So, cause still, he's like, damn the mission. Like, we got to save the kid. which is nice because Andor somehow is more human than like Vel, who is, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Vel's very human, but like in this moment, she's like a robot, stick to the mission, and he shows kind of the flip. So it's interesting how like these roles kind of move around as the situation changes, and especially as we saw Vel like almost not go through with the mission earlier up on the dam. But it's a perfect setup for someone who's trying to double cross people, because if we take a detour and not go like to where we're supposed to go and take a detour, it's a good opportunity to, one, break up the crew, right? Obviously we can ditch a body, potentially just leave them here, right? We're in this remote place, no one knows we are here except like maybe, because she said this was built into the plan for the doctor to be on call, so maybe at most Luthen would have known they would have went there. But it's just a good opportunity to deviate from the plan and double cross some people.
True. Yeah, and Skeen back on, Aldhani in the woods gives Cassian his apology, right? Which is basically his like little backstory of his brother owning a farm and then the Empire coming in and killing his brother somehow, and that's why he's in the fight. And then we learn as Nemec is getting operated on by the very practical, affected, four-armed doctor, which I love. I love it. I love it.
It's not a Grease, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, that's true. Man, we need some Grease like species in a
live action
show
Grease.
or a live action. Yeah. But yeah,
spoiler, we're gonna get live action Grease and Cal in the Mandalorian show. Maybe, probably not.
Let's go. I mean, we got BD. I mean, not the BD, but we got a BD.
Yeah.
And Mando.
No, not Mando. Whatever.
It needs to happen, but that's a whole other conversation. But Skeen and Cassian are sitting outside while Nemec's getting operated on, and basically Skeen's like, "All right, listen, we're two peas in a pod here. We're both in it for the money. Let's just take the ship. There's 80 million credits on there.
40.
We'll split it. I
40
know
is
this,
enough for me to forget about you.
Yeah, I know this really remote moon. No one will ever find us.
Or you.
And
he's totally gonna kill Andor on that moon, dude. Like, it's no one's home. It's like, bro, this is.
Yeah. So Cassian, again, being the reluctant hero. First off, he's aware of what's happening. He's even like, so what are you gonna do to me? But yeah, totally reads him like a book. But again, like, has that morality of the reluctant hero. He's like, but I can't. But also, do that. As much as I want to do that, like, I can't do that. But I will murder you.
Like, no hesitation though either. It's not like Charles gonna be like, I'm taking you in. Nope. He's like, no, I'm just gonna blast this fool on spot because but
he learned a thing from Han. He's like you said in chapter 1, like, Cassian leaves no question of who shot first.
Right.
He's just like, I will always shoot first.
but it's interesting because he's such a dynamic character in that regard, because I feel like he mostly shoots Skeen because he does not. And this is why he also just tells Vel, like, I'm taking my cut. Like, y'all keep the 80. I'm taking my 200 and I'm dipping, because he does not want any part of this nonsense. Like, whether he signs on with Skeen, that's just a whole entire, like, he's signing on for a whole nother bullshit adventure he does not want any part of. And he also doesn't want to stick around with Vel and figure out what's, where are we gonna do all this money? He's like, I'm trying to get out of here. So, like, partly, like, he blasts this dude because he's like, bro, you're toxic. You're not good for nobody. You're not good for me. Peace.
I just want to throw this out there. I bet I would put a lot of money on this, that Cassian only uses like paper plates.
Why?
Bro, he's not doing dishes.
Oh yeah,
He treats his dishes like he treats the people he does jobs with.
Yeah,
Always using paper plates.
Throwing them away. Yeah, I get it.
Straight into the garbage.
Yeah. It's like, nah. Well, yeah, he's not sticking around to do the dishes. Like, he's got a role.
Yeah, that's right.
He probably committed a crime that he's not aware of. That someone signed him up for. He committed a crime that someone made him do. Like, that's the moral of his story.
Yeah, so like you said, he goes in, rip Nemec, he died, didn't make it through the surgery. A lot of good those forearms did. But Vel, he tells Vel because
I like the
because
dude's
he
reaction
comes in.
though. He puts all 4 hands up and he's like, "Oh."
Well, yeah, because Andor entering a room only Cassian can with his gun drawn, ready to blast some more people. He's like, there's already a dead guy there. We'll just
don't make me do it. Yeah. I will do it.
But yeah, tells Vel what happened. By the way, killed Skeen. He was gonna leave you here and take all of the money. I'm just gonna take my 200. There's a really crappy little ship you got out there. I'll give you 30K for it, Mr. Doctor, sir. And then he just leaves. And there we go.
My man.
Yeah. And then the episode ends with the whole, Luthen store shop celebration.
Excited. So pumped.
So yeah, we're left here. The heist, tremendous cost to the growing rebellion. They lost more than half of their crew. But I think it's cool that, obviously Luthen's excited that it happened and was a success in a way. But I think his thought of what defines a success is greater than getting away with some of the Empire's money. I think it's like a much bigger picture, much bigger play where it's like, this is going to cause it's a chain reaction of the Empire then like knuckling down, like cracking down, becoming strict, laying down the law, like enforcing, and it's going to then, they're going to take it out on the people, and then the people are going to get sick, and then they're going to like want to rebel too. So it's like this big brain 4D chess play by Luthen.
Well, he says it to his plutonic assistant there, or I don't know if he's actually with her or what that relationship is there. But
I gotta look up who that is because she looks so familiar.
She said, when he's stressing about it, the night of, like the rest of them are, she's like, it'll all be over by this time tomorrow. And he's like, or it'll have all begun. Or, just be beginning. And yeah, I mean, that echoes what you said in terms of it's not really about the heist being over. He's like, that's the excitement. Like, he's like, if we can pull this off, we prove that we can do something here and really, really upset them, the Empire, and make them wake up and make everyone else wake up. So yeah, I mean, I don't think he was nervous that evening that the job was going to happen or not. He was like, are we about to like finally do the thing? Can we make this work? He's like, I don't want it to all be over. I want this to like be the start of it all. And even though I think quietly that was when he lifted Cassian off of Ferrix, but that got the ISB tingling, but this will get the Navy upset, the military popping a heist like that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's on now. There's no going back.
I come in, dude. I guess I'm such a like a fish in a fishbowl when it comes to like rewatching this, because I was like, oh yeah, duh. Of course, Andor just like dips because he's just totally on vacation in the next episode. I'm pretty sure. He like wakes up with a chick in his bed. He's at a hotel on the beach.
Like, Miami of Star Wars.
cloudy Miami. So I was like, oh yeah, duh. Of course he just dips. I was like, he doesn't follow Vel.
Right. But yeah, man, excited for chapter 3 coming next week, and that just means that we are 1 week closer to season 2. So excited.
April 22nd, they're dropping 3 episodes on us, and they're gonna be dropping 3 episodes every week.
That's right. We're mirroring our coverage of season 1 in the fashion that season 2 will be covered. 1 podcast episode per 3 episodes of Andor, as it's being released that way. But yeah, make sure, first off, Bio and Jeff, thank you guys for hanging out in the comments. Anyone else hanging out here during the live stream, thank you for stopping by. Just a reminder, if you're here, let us know in the comments. If you have anything, that you'd want to talk about Andor, throw that in the comments. We'll throw it up on screen, talk about it. But we will be live streaming the rest of our Andor coverage. So 2 more episodes of season 1 and then 4 episodes of season 2. So make sure you subscribe here. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, follow us on those platforms as well. If you're listening to this on our audio platforms, thank you so much. Make sure you follow, give us a review. That helps out a lot. And yeah, man, you got anything else you want to say, or you ready to?
I was just going to say, there is a note here that the episodes will be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is a shift from the midnight released Star Wars shows typically have. And I think that might be because they're doing 3 at a time. So basically, you could, in theory, watch all 3 Tuesday night.
True.
So,
excuse me.
So if you want to be on it, you can watch them Tuesday night.
That's right.
At 9 p.m.
We'll be here
Eastern.
Thursday. Talk about it. So,
yes, sir.
Subscribe, and we'll see you next week. And again, I apologize, Dad. Just don't listen to the beginning of this episode, please. Dude, I forget every time I start an episode of the actual show just how sick the very short theme of Andor is. I freaking so much.
The eclipse kind of thing coming up.
And then like just a little synth wavy, like very short. Oh, so good.